Good afternoon and welcome. Welcome indeed, yes, to another edition of the Mark Moses Show podcast. As we're always broadcasting from the Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Take back control of your life. Call them today. Even it's 10,000 degrees outside. You could still call them if you need help. 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. It's Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Now, this nice lady, I finally got a chance to talk to her last week. They're in Tampa at SEC Media Days. She does a great job with News 6 there in Orlando, all throughout Central Florida. She is Jamie Seh. Jamie, how you doing today?
Mark, I'm doing great. It is my pleasure to be with you and talk with you. It's great to meet you in Tampa, for SEC Football Media Days.
All right. You are the sports director. I know you're an anchor reporter. You got 50 jobs like I do. Okay, so I have to start here real quick. People screw up my name, which I don't understand. They'll say Mosley, Moser, what? S-E-H. How many times do they screw that up in your life?
All my life. All my life. All my life. Like, they think it's Jamie Seh. Buddy Dyer still called me Jamie Seh, and I've known Buddy for a long time. That's fine. It spell corrects to she. Orlando City would give out jerseys and stuff as media gifts, and two of those jerseys back in the USL Pro days, it had she on the back. People, when they see it, they're like, "Is that Seh? Is that Seh?" And then sometimes I'm like, it's Jamie Seh. And then they think, before seeing me, I'm Asian because of the pronunciation. So all my life, but, it's short and sweet. And I don't know too many Sehs outside of my family. I know zero. So it's just a weird, unique name.
A unicorn. I like it. All right. So for Christmas this year, I will get you some type of jersey. Should it say she? What should I put on there?
Whatever you want. Yeah, okay. I'll leave it up to you. I think it's hilarious, though. And I mean, it was such a nice gesture from Orlando City, but I get it. Like, it's spell corrected to she. And it's like, well, I am a she. That's my pronoun. So, okay. But
do you still have the jersey? Do we still have this?
I think I do, because I keep most of, it was a sweet USL Pro back in the day, throwback, when they were in the USL Pro, it was probably from like 2013 or something like that. So I'm sure I still have it.
Well, I saw you in Tampa, SEC Media Days. I've gone to this a couple times now in Atlanta, Nashville, covering the Gators. I'm used to the circus. Was that your first time being around all that hoopla for the conference?
It was my second. I remember I went to one in Atlanta. I think it was 2018. Dan Mullen was the head coach, or maybe, it was 2018. And it was a big deal in Atlanta because it was at the College Football Hall of Fame, which is a great venue for it. And it was like, whoa. And it was the first time I think I had seen the College Football Hall of Fame, which is an impressive building. So, and Nick Saban's there and everything. So, I felt like, whenever Nick Saban was there, it was an even bigger event. So this was the second time, and it was very cool. I thought Tampa did a good job. It was nice to have it kind of in our backyard too. Makes it super convenient. We only went over for the Florida Gators. We didn't go every day. So, that day, so when they split it up like that, it seemed like it was a little bit less media than it was back in 2018 in Atlanta.
Well, they have to go to 4 days now because there's so many teams. And they're probably going to want to expand more, and then it'll be 7 days long. But I'm with you. There's a part of me as a reporter. Okay, I get it. South Carolina, Oklahoma. No. I live in Florida, as Northerners from where you're from like to call it. Yeah. I have to see the Gators talk, and I'm not going to lie to you. That's my fifth coach now. Fifth coach in my time here. So I had to see him. I thought Sumrall won SEC. Like, you have to win the press conference. He was phenomenal in front of everyone. What did you think of his performance there?
Oh, I agree. I mean, just his energy, his focus, his intensity, how he's able to put his focus and intensity into words, staying true to himself. Like, I think that's who John Sumrall is. And we can see why he's been successful in short times in the other stops that he's had at Troy and Tulane, because how is his energy not contagious among the players that he's coaching? You know, he comes across as youthful, just like them. I mean, I was really impressed with him, and I really, feel like he does have a vision that he will enact. And I mean, it's just, Billy Napier was a very nice guy, but I mean, just the difference between the energy level and personalities was just so vast. So I think Summerall made a great impression on not just the folks that cover the Florida Gators, but the folks that cover the SEC. It's like, all right, look out. There is a new sheriff in town in Gainesville. He might not get giant results in year one, but you can see how players would want to play for him, and how if he attacks the portal, if he attacks recruiting with the energy that he projects, watch out, like the bear's going to be awoken.
I agree with you 100%. I like you use that word youthful, because it's true. This current landscape, you have to be on your job 24/7, 365, talking to recruits and talking to your current players, because they might jump ship at any moment as well. See, when you see a guy who's 75, like you brought up Nick Saban. Nick Saban is the GOAT, in my opinion, for coaching in college football. But again, I can see Saban's like, you know what? I don't want to do this 20 billion hours a day. Do you feel that way as well, Jamie? You look at the current landscape if you're going to coach this sport.
Absolutely. Like, I think relating to players and building trust is so important, in getting to know your players and putting that time into them, because they're hearing it from everybody. They're hearing it from everybody about how much money they can make here, how much playing time they can make here. You really need to build a trust, I think, with the players, so they'll stick with you. And I think it's important. Saban, incredible coach, incredible how he ran an organization, and he really created that organization, corporation of a college football program. But, the carrot back then was, all right, we're going to win national championships and you're going to go to the NFL. And that was the main motivation for the players back then. National championships, NFL. Well, now there's another motivational piece, and that's money. And if you're in the SEC, most schools have money to give players. So it's just like, okay, well, I can get a little bit more money here. I can get a little bit more money here. So it's just so important for coaches to want to invest the time, the energy in building those really strong, positive relationships with players and building trust, so that's like a player can go and be like, all right, I can come here, I'll have playing time, I can show out, and my value is going to go up.
I like what you said about Napier. I agree with you. When I talked to him one-on-one, he was fantastic. Talking, I'm not kidding around. Looks you in the eye. He's got a great game plan, but it's got to be more than that. You have to command the room. The feeling I got from this guy, and I get it, he's not coached a game yet. I know everyone who's going to comment. I know. But there's this feeling of, I'm going to stand up for Gator Nation, right? And the joke I made last week, he'll tackle an alligator if he has to. This guy has got backbone. I could tell he's a fighter, and this guy wants to win. Did you get that impression?
Absolutely. Like, I felt like Napier came in and he had this big plan, and he was calculating about it. And it's like step-by-step process. Okay, it's going to take time. Sumrall, urgency. Let's do it now. And he's going to always project his belief in his team that it can reach his highest expectations. Like, I truly believe he believes they can win every game. Will they? No, they're not going to. But it's like he wants it now. And like he's got a plan, but it's like, let's do it now. And I think in this day and age of college football, there is no patience in sports. So I like that about him.
Indiana in 2 years with Cignetti went to the playoff and won the national title. You have no excuse. You have no excuse. None. I liked he said it was interesting. He's a dream for you and me, where he's giving you the sound bites like he's Steve Spurrier in that aspect. Yeah. They asked him, what's wrong with us? Like in the interview process. And he had the cojones to say, you guys don't win. You're not winning. Would you have said that? If they interviewed you, Jamie, would you have brought that up?
I mean, as a communicator, I probably would have held back, because it's just like, when you're in communications, it's just like, and you've been in it for so long, you learn what to hold back and stuff, and try and come up with the best polished answer that will win you a job and win people. But it's like, his honesty is what the Gators needed, because it's just like, why aren't the Gators winning? What is going on? They're the most popular team in the state of Florida, which is, just a hotbed of unbelievable football talent. How come the Florida Gators have slipped to this degree? I'm not going to say they're irrelevant, because they're not. But, how do they let the Tennessees get ahead of them? What is going on there? It's like there needs to be more energy. They've got all the resources. They've got the fan backing. They've got the booster backing. They've got all these financial backings. They're putting the infrastructure in. It's like, what has gone on? And, Napier might have just been the wrong hire. He was the wrong hire at that time. And he was a lot different from Dan Mullen too, because Dan Mullen was super personable, outgoing, and offensive whiz. But maybe Mullen didn't have the energy to put into the players to recruit them every single day.
You know this, and that was a fantastic answer, because what's interesting, you said, what's up with the Gators? You could say the same thing for Florida State. You could say the same thing for UCF. What is going on here? There's only one team. There's one team that's figured it out, and it's Mario Cristobal in Miami. Yep. That's it, in the States.
Yeah, and and it's because Miami is in his DNA. He knows, and he's tapped into the right resources, the right boosters to get the money. And it's like he really has brought that swagger back, but it's not just swagger, it's toughness and doing the difficult in practice. Like, I believe Mario Cristobal, when he talks about how tough his practices are, he's not taking it easy on these guys. He's not. And like, that's built a lot of character, teamwork. And so in addition to the Miami swagger, like, they're tough. They're really tough. And they have the financial resources to do it. And they're giving out the money, and they're identifying the right talent, and they're getting the biggest names out of the transfer portal. But yeah, you're right. Like, Mario has figured it out.
In the landscape. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. And another big part of it is just, the skill position players that he has, but it's quarterbacks. It's getting the right quarterbacks. Florida State, since Jordan Travis, and Travis, like, is almost a one-off. He was a transfer out of Louisville, didn't get any time in Louisville, and really grew into that program. But then since then, they've missed on the quarterbacks. They've missed on the quarterback recruits. They haven't developed a guy. And back in Memphis, Norvell was known as this offensive whiz, developing these quarterbacks that could put up big numbers, and that hasn't happened. So that's been tough. The offensive line has struggled, but like, Miami brings in big dudes. It's like Miami kids are going to Miami again also, and they're getting the best skill position players, in the portal.
Look, Malachi Toney is going to be a sophomore. Honestly, he could have been a top 10 pick in the draft if he wasn't 18, 19 years old. Like, if you think of what he's done, he was phenomenal. All right. Let's get to UCF real quick then. And okay. I appreciate you coming on. They're going to be starting camp year 2 with Scott Frost, 2.0, as I like to call him, because I was here for the first rodeo with him. What are your thoughts on this team year 2 when so many new players coming into the roster?
Yeah, it's a mystery. I like their quarterback situation. I think Alonzo Barnett, there's a reason why, Coastal Carolina was JMU was really good last year. And it's like, and I think he's a very charismatic leader. I do think it's a drawback that he did not participate in spring. He was held out because of a minor injury. So it's like they've got a short time to develop chemistry, but everybody's got a short time to develop chemistry in this day and age. But I do worry about that, that's a really close window for the quarterback to get into whatever scheme that UCF wants to run and develop trust and chemistry with his receivers, offensive line, and running backs. But, I think Barnett has a really good chance. But, and they lost, their two main running backs from last year. They've got Tavion Swint from Osceola coming in, who was injured last year, so he could be pretty good. Wayden Charles is one of their wide receivers. He could be pretty good, but it's really a mystery. I mean, they've lost a lot. They brought in, I think, like 40. I think they've got like 40 to 45 new players. So we'll see. But I think this year will be better than last year. I really do. The Big 12 is tough on UCF. They're still learning how to win in that conference. So it's a mystery. We haven't been exposed to UCF much during the offseason to really know.
No.
Also, so it's just, we'll find out more in camp, but we'll find out the most, obviously, going through the season. But I think this year will be better, but I think, it's probably middling again, 6-6, maybe 7-5.
I will take 7-5. And okay. Scott Frost has not had a winning record as a coach since 2017. Let's be honest here, right? And I know he took a couple years off. He went back to the NFL. He's got to prove it. They did not get to a bowl game. I know we're in the world of the playoff, Jamie. Yeah. They've got to get to a bowl game. I'm sorry, Absolutely. In year 2. They have to.
Absolutely. 2017 was a long time ago now. That's crazy to think. I was thinking about that today. It's like, gosh, 2016 was 10 years ago. And I remember, because like we were there when we saw it happen. We saw 2015 happen when they were winless. And then, oh my gosh, UCF goes out and wins 6 games and they're bowl eligible. And it was like, hurrah, it was such a big moment. And then 2017 comes along, which was unbelievably special, but that's a long time ago. 7 wins when they're competing in the Big 12 would be huge to make a bowl, and then winning the bowl game would be great too, because it's been a long time since UCF's won a bowl game. Even if it's a smaller tiered bowl, go out and win it. But yeah, I think there is pressure on Scott Frost. I mean, it's not a make or break season for him in year 2, but if the team, it was a little boring last year. And that's not something that UCF fans were used to when Frost was the coach the first time. So, big plays got to come back, big offense, where is it? It's much more difficult to do that in the Big 12 than the American. I recognize that. But, there needs to be that buzz, bring that buzz back again, because you don't want to lose. You don't want to lose your fan base.
No. And you bring up the JMU quarterback. I'm excited about him. He did big things, made the playoff last year. I want to see the freshman Rocco Marriott. I want to see him. Highest rated quarterback recruit ever for UCF. Yeah. Highest ever. All right, no pressure, Rocco. Okay.
Right. No, it's super cool. I hope, he's anointed Barnett as the starter, but I hope he's able to cultivate a really positive relationship with Rocco Marriott. They also have another pretty good young quarterback from Pennsylvania. His name escapes me right now, but it's I hope he's able to develop a relationship with one of those two so they stay. And he was able to develop that with Mackenzie Milton. I mean, obviously that relationship is one of the biggest success stories, in UCF football history. Scott Frost bringing in Mackenzie, giving him the keys when he's a freshman. Mackenzie doesn't do great his freshman year, the way it ended in the Cure Bowl. I mean, he did well enough that UCF finished 500, made a bowl game, but Frost was able to bring him back instead of Mackenzie being homesick and going out west again, closer to home. So, and he stuck it out. So like, I do believe that Frost can build relationships with his players. And I think that's one of his strengths. And now in year 2, we'll see that a little bit more, I think.
Okay, let's end with this. And look, I just want to say this. I also have 10,000 names in my head, Jamie. Don't worry. Okay, I do. There are so many players' names in my head that I'll forget my coworkers' names. Okay,
I love it.
Don't worry about it. All right, real quick. First job professionally that you got paid in broadcasting. I asked this to every broadcaster. You're up next. What was the first paying job?
First paying job was it was in between my junior and senior years of college at Syracuse University. First paid broadcasting job was play-by-play on the radio of the Auburn Double Days baseball team, the short season single A affiliate of the Houston Astros in Auburn, New York, upstate New York. I traveled with the team. It was me and another student. And, we did I think it was 76 games because it was short season. So that was my first paid, $20 a game. Got $20 a game, no meal money. So I didn't make any money, but that was my first job.
Did you ride with the team on the bus for the away games?
I did. I rode on the team I was the only girl on the bus. This was 1997. I was the only girl on the bus, and it really didn't faze me too much. I don't know.
20. Look.
Yeah. $20. Yeah. $20 a game. We would stay and here's the other thing. So it was me and another student named Rhett, and I knew Rhett from my freshman year. So we had known each other for a number of years. We worked at the student radio station together at Syracuse, but this was separate from it. But he and I would stay in the same room.
No.
And I look back at it, and it was no big deal. We were just buddies, whatever. But yeah, it didn't even faze us. It was we were there to do a job. And so we went to Williamsport, Pennsylvania, Burlington, Vermont, Erie, Pennsylvania, just small markets. I mean, and it was awesome. It was so much fun. I made zero money. I probably got into debt because of it, because $20, it didn't cover gas money to get out to Auburn because it was 40 minutes away from campus at Syracuse. But it was amazing. I saw some really bad baseball. And then because these guys are coming to the pros for the first time. A lot of them are using wooden bats for the first time. They couldn't hit. The pitching was bad, but it was so much fun. And it's and I kept my score books. So later on, I went through my score books to see, what players may have played in these games that made it to the majors. For the Auburn Double Days, the two guys that made it were Roy Oswalt. He was a starting pitcher on the team. Nice. So Roy Oswalt and Johan Santana made a spot start for the Auburn Double Days coming up. So he was in the Houston Astros organization.
And then played with the Twins.
Yeah, before he got with the Twins. So they must have traded him. But yeah, Johan Santana made a spot start on his way from probably rookie league to, Double A, because the best prospects really, they started in rookie league for maybe 4 weeks and then shot right up to Double A. Because Double A was I learned so much about baseball because Double A was the proving ground. And then they spend a short time in Triple A and then go right up to the big club. But yeah, so on our team, it was Roy Oswalt and Johan Santana. But going through my score books, David Eckstein was in the New York Penn League. So he was a player in one of the games. Milton Bradley. You remember Milton Bradley?
Yeah,
he was kind of a
Eckstein, 2006 World Series MVP with the Cardinals.
Yeah, and from Stanford, Florida, too.
Yeah.
So that was cool. And it was so much fun. My diet was ballpark pizza, ballpark French fries, and ballpark hot dogs, and Diet Coke. It was so bad.
You know what's funny is like, as we all know, every broadcaster, that first job, you make no money, like none. I was in the middle of Iowa making no money, but then there's a part of me that reminisces. I miss my $500 rent every month. I wish the prices. Okay, I wish my price was still $500 a month. Okay,
I know.
Okay.
Like, so my first professional job out of college, because like, because the double days, the baseball was part-time, but my first full-time professional job was in Watertown, New York, which is up by the Canadian border. Great place. But my rent was $330 a month, and it included utilities.
Yeah, you're not kidding around. I see. This is what I say, and I'll let you go. I know you're busy, so thanks for coming on.
No, thank you.
I think we're the last generation in our field where, all right, you get out of college, you have no experience, you don't really have talent at first. Maybe you do. Okay, maybe. So you have to get in your car and you have to go to a small town and start somewhere. And then you build your way up. You go to different areas and you build up that resume. I don't think that's the case anymore. I don't think you can do that anymore.
I don't think so either. I mean, there are some, because, we get some interns, and the interns are willing to put in the work. And then, some of our interns have gone and started in small markets. I mean, maybe not as small as Iowa and Watertown, New York. So some of them are, especially like if you go to journalism schools where your instructors, your professors kind of tell you the reality of yesteryear, and you're willing to do that. Because like, I remember one of my professors at Syracuse said, you go to your small market to make the mistakes so you don't flame out in a big place and really embarrass yourself and ruin your career from the start. But now, like, I think there are some good ways, like, talented people coming out of college can start their own thing now. We didn't have YouTube, we didn't have podcasting.
Oh, no.
We didn't have all these avenues. It was like you went to a professional radio station or a small market TV station, or you started behind the scenes, as a producer somewhere, or a production assistant at ESPN, where you're making probably, $14 an hour in Bristol, but you're just doing CGs, you're doing the ticker and stuff like that. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if that happens so much anymore, but I mean, I would never trade in my experience in Auburn or Watertown for anything, because like what living in Watertown did for me, it wasn't far from Syracuse. And I'm from upstate New York anyway. It was about 3.5 hours from home. But what it did for me was like, I learned how to build relationships doing it, in a strange place as a kid, because when you are 22, 23, you're still kind of a kid. You're trying to be a grown up. You're trying to be super professional, which is great. But socially, in ways, you're still a kid. You're still growing. So like, I mean, that was a huge experience for me. And I would never trade it to go someplace bigger where, I wasn't able to develop into the person, I guess, that it helped me become.
That is a great answer. And I appreciate coming on. Check her out. Don't worry. She works like a maniac, just like me. I get it. Okay. No. News 6 in Orlando. Check her out. Sports director, anchor, reporter. She does it all. Jamie Seh. Not she. Seh. Thank you so much for coming on, and I hope I can get you on again sometime. All right.
Would love it. Thanks so much, Mark, for the time. I appreciate it.